Can't go to the bathroom? I've got you covered in this video, where I'm going to be talking all about why you might be constipated, plus sharing some tips and tricks to help you go. I'm Nicole, a functional nutritional therapy practitioner specializing in digestive and hormone issues. Be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay in the loop on more content like this. So, constipation affects nearly 2.5 million Americans, and if you ask me, that is 2.5 million way too many. Just remember that because something is common doesn't mean it's normal. And unfortunately, a lot of people are dealing with the common issue of constipation, but it's certainly not a normal one. So constipation can be defined as difficult or infrequent stools to pass, feelings of not being properly eliminated, or empty. And so you can be having, 1 to 2 bowel movements a day and still suffer from constipation if you're not fully eliminating or evacuating after every bowel movement, and you still feel kind of backed up and just generally blah. So now let's dive into some of the reasons why you might be constipated, and then we'll jump into the tips. So first and foremost, the most simplest explanation is that you're dehydrated. A lot of us aren't drinking enough water, and some of us don't even know how much water we should be drinking a day, and so that can really back things up. So typically you want to be consuming at least or a minimum of half of your body weight in water. But that's not the full picture here, because we're sweating, we're moving around, and so when you're doing that, you need to be refilling the body with much more water than that minimum value. And also for every 8-ounce diuretic you drink, so a diuretic is something that's dehydrating, so coffee, some teas, alcohol, some prescription drugs, juices, even ibuprofen and aspirin and things like that can all cause dehydration. And so for every 8-ounce diuretic, you need to add back in 12 to 15 additional ounces on top of your daily intake. And then you can't forget about electrolytes, which is usually where people tend to go wrong with hydration, because electrolytes are literally the spark plugs that help us absorb water into our cells. And so those electrolytes are calcium, potassium, sodium, and magnesium. And so you want to be adding those in so that you're not just drinking a ton of water and then having it go right through you and you're running to the bathroom all the time. Electrolytes can help with that issue. Another reason for constipation is chronic stress. So when we're stressed chronically, we have elevated cortisol levels, and that kicks in our fight or flight mode. And when we're in that stressed state, our digestive system gets shut down. And so stool can get hard and impacted and backed up when digestion gets shut off. And so that's a pretty common experience for people that are chronically stressed. Another reason is poor diet and lifestyle. So when you're eating a lot of processed foods, refined carbohydrates, sugars, hydrogenated oils like canola oil, sunflower oil, soybean oil, these are all very inflammatory, and they can really mess with our gut. They can erode our bacterial diversity and pave the way for more bad bacteria to come in. So we definitely want to make sure we're getting the proper vitamins, minerals, and nutrients through a very diverse and clean whole foods diet. Not enough fiber is another reason too. So typically, we want to have a wide variety of fruit and vegetable fibers to help keep bowel movements bulky and then keep them moving through the digestive tract. So when we're eating the standard American diet, that's pretty low in high fiber foods. And so that's another reason to clean up the diet. And then also, something that's overlooked is food sensitivities. And so a lot of us are just kind of eating foods that our bodies are sensitive to, and it's really backing us up and causing bowel irregularities. And so common food sensitivities are gluten, dairy, corn, and soy, but it could really be anything, especially if you suffer from leaky gut. But when we do have a food sensitivity, this sends an inflammation response, activates our immune system, and generally just can back us up. Alternatively, if you are highly sensitive to something, the body might want to get rid of it right away, such as if you have food poisoning, and so the opposite can happen in some instances. In that same vein, I mentioned leaky gut, and so leaky gut is another reason people experience, irritable bowel syndrome, either constipation, diarrhea, or a mix of both, because our intestinal lining is breached, and so that food is leaking into our bloodstream where it doesn't belong. Our body is sending, our immune system to attack these foreign invaders, and it's just kind of creating a ripple effect of poor digestion. And then lastly, pathogenic infections, which are way more common than you would think. So this is bacterial overgrowths, fungal infections, and parasites really contribute to constipation. And so that's definitely one place you want to explore. If you've ever been out of the country, or if you just generally noticed more constipation than usual, you might have a pathogenic infection, and so you'll want to clear that up in order to re-regulate your bowels. All right. Now we're going to talk about some of the easy tips and tricks and things you can do to help regulate your bowels and ease your constipation temporarily while you work on getting to the root cause if it is something like leaky gut or a pathogenic infection. And so number one is to simply drink enough water and get enough electrolytes in there. So you can do this by sprinkling a little bit of sea salt or Himalayan sea salt into your water. Add a little bit of lemon juice is good too, or getting some low sugar electrolyte powders or solutions like Noon Hydration or LMNT are really good as well. And then you want to clean up the diet, get rid of the processed foods, the frozen pizzas, the sugar, the fast food, the alcohol, and replace it with whole nutrient dense foods that are rich in healthy fats, a wide variety of leafy greens and fruits and vegetables, and quality protein like grass-fed beef, wild-caught fish and salmon, and pastured organic chicken and poultry. Next tip is to focus on high fiber foods, and so some really, really good ones, of course, are vegetables if you can tolerate them, dates, figs, psyllium seed husk is really good to add in as well. So you typically want to get between 22 and 34 grams of fiber into the diet a day, unless you suffer from something like IBD, irritable bowel disease, Crohn's or colitis, in which you'll want to be very careful with fiber intake there. Getting regular exercise is another great way to help stimulate peristalsis, which is the motility function that helps move food through the intestines and then out of the bowels for evacuation. And so some light movement, some walking, some yoga are really great to stimulate that. Especially twisting motions in yoga and movements are really great for bringing out the intestines and really stimulating that digestive process. Natural laxatives are really great for temporary relief that you can use while you're working on some of these bigger issues here. And so I really gravitate towards senna leaf tea, cascara sagrada, and magnesium citrate. So magnesium citrate is a powder. You can typically take up to 500 or 600 milligrams in the evening before bed to help have a really healthy bowel movement in the morning. And then simply just try to add more soothing foods into the diet that nourish the gut. So bone broth is great for that. Aloe leaf, aloe juice is really great. And then getting in, chamomile, ginger, peppermint teas. These are all really soothing, can help stimulate digestion when you're a little bit backed up. It's also really helpful to get on a regular probiotic. So probiotics help normalize our digestive functioning. They also can push out bad bacteria and repopulate the good gut bacteria for just overall good digestive health. And then lastly, you really want to manage your stress. If you are chronically stressed, that's going to keep you from having optimum digestion. And so doing things like deep breathing, yoga, meditation, and even Epsom salt baths with maybe some lavender oil, just to really get you in a calm state and loosen up, the bowels and stimulate peristalsis. So that's all you need to know about constipation and some tips to help ease that issue up and help you go. And so if you liked this video, be sure to leave a comment, leave some questions, And that's it. So that's really all you need to know about constipation and some natural, easy ways to help you go when you're feeling a little bit backed up. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a comment, drop your questions below, and then leave topic ideas for future videos. That's it for today. I'll see you in the next one. Stay healthy.